Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Coach Menachem program on a special Sunday night after Tisha B'Av. Thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate it. Tonight is a special night. Tonight's Tu B'Av, and Tu B'Av is a very spacious time for shidduchim and marriage and stuff like that. And me and Menachem came up last minute with the concept of putting together a shidduch, shir for people that are in the parsha, people that will be in the parsha, for parents, for just in general. It's a big conversation. And we always wanted to do it, so hopefully tonight should be a big ta'alus for everybody, and hopefully we give chizik to people, and give a dracha, and Menachem should be a big chizik for everybody. So let's get started. Here we go. So welcome to tonight's program. Tonight's program is Shir 199, and we're very appreciative to all the people that come on every week and let people know about it, and post it on their statuses, and they email to people. It's a sichas chaverim, a place to talk things through. And Shidduchim is a parsha that we could have 20 shiurim on. There's no shortage. So hopefully we get the conversation started tonight. We'll see where it goes. If anybody wants to join the WhatsApp chats, please WhatsApp me at 732-314-1710, and I'll add you to the community. You can go to menachemberfel.com as well. Sign up for his emails. Every week he emails the speakers, all the replays, and all the information going on in Coach Menachem land. So please sign up, be part of it. And we really appreciate everybody coming here tonight. All the people that are watching this on YouTube, you can click on the subscribe button. So every week when we upload the videos, you can get to watch them. You can also click on the like button. We would appreciate it. Every like we get, me and Menachem make a tremendous amount of money. So hopefully we're going to be retiring soon. We're looking forward. And thank you to all the advertising sponsors of Liquid Scoop, Elliot Arrow from Python Central, and Chaylik Halpin from JCN. Next week, Shir 200 will be August 25th. Hopefully, Menachem, and we're looking for that to be a very special share. We're working on some of the technical things. And when I say that, what that basically means in English is we don't have a confirmed speaker, but we're working on some concepts. Let's just be honest. But we want it to be something special. So hopefully next week will be a special program. Please tell everybody to join. And as soon as we know, we're going to post it on all the communities so everybody knows about it. So tonight's Shir is 100. We're going to start off first with our Coach Menachem Bernfeld. He's going to open it up and tell everybody, why are we here tonight on this beautiful Sunday night? What are we trying to gain tonight?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I want to welcome everyone. Welcome to Let's Get Real with Coach Menachem, number 199, Baruch Hashem. I do want to thank our speakers tonight, Sir Moshe, Mrs. Jacobs, Sir Daniel. And I know it's not easy, and some are on vacation, Mesiras Nefesh. But we're doing it for the Klal, and Hashem should help. It should be with a lot of Siyata Dishmaya. So like we heard, Tu B'Av, there's a time to be mispal on Shidduchim. It's a time to do what we can, sgulas, and connect. Do what we can. And talking about shidduchim, think about a shidduch. A shidduch is shidduchim b'chlal is very fascinating. You know, it depends in where you come from, how you do it, what your beliefs are. And when the secular world looks at how we do it, it's like everybody looks at it different. For some, it's an amazing way to do it. Like they don't. It just sounds like it's prearranged, and for others, they can't understand how it doesn't make sense. But listen, from wherever you are, the way we're used to it. But it is interesting thinking about it. Taking a boy and a girl, which is we're different, and we know that. The boys and the girls are different, and go tell them to get married and do everything to, figure it out. Go figure it out. Build a bias, never be Yisrael. So what they say is that it's a miracle. And it is. Look around, Baruch Hashem. Usually it works out. So it is a miracle. And discussing a lot of emunah and betachon, whatever we do, whether it's at work, or health, we always have to rely on Hashem. But when it comes to shidduchim, we definitely see it, and we have to rely on Hashem. So the question is, if we're relying on Hashem, and what could you do? You go out a few times. What could you do to really see that this is for me, a commitment, and to say that this is mine for life? So we're relying on Hashem, and we're hoping. So if that's the case, why should we put in so much work? So I think in a way that could be why many people struggle, because we do have to do our hishtadlus, but the hishtadlus parts, it becomes a little bit hard. What could we do? They say that an Hungarian should be mishadach with Hungarian because at least you're starting with less, with some things that you can, the things that you grew up together. So there's less things to work out. But we know that's not always the case, and we always have enough things to work out. It's work. At the end of the day, it's work. So if we have to rely on the Shtadlis, if we rely on Hashem, then what Shtadlis do I have to do? What can I do? So that's a very good question. And I believe tonight we're going to talk about a little bit more of the idea of what we could do. But again, we can't forget that it is a Shtadlis. At the end of the day, we have to rely on Hashem. We rely on Hashem, Tefillah, and daven. I know there are people out there who are struggling and they can't find the right one. Sometimes they blame themselves, blame the parents, blame the situation, but we have to strengthen them in the Emunah B'tachon, and this is one place we could do it. Is again, we can rely, daven, strengthen the Emunah B'tachon. But our question is, how do we play the game of the Hishtadlus? And I think tonight that's what we're going to be discussing from different points of views, everybody with their experience of what can we do in our Hishtadlus, something that can help make it a little bit easier to understand what we're looking for. And amidst Hashem, we should have a lot of siyata d'shmaya to be able to help those who need. And my tefillah is that those who are looking and Hashem should help, it should be easy. They should figure it out. They should see why they were stuck and say, okay, I got it. And then mazel tov and Hashem. There should be a lot of shidduch. Shkoyach.
Menachem, beautiful. Okay, so let's get into it. So we named tonight's program Tu B'Av, Navigating Dating Challenges and Commitments, Essential Insights in Education for Parents, Shadchanim, and Singles. So we have three speakers here with tonight. We have Moshe Pogrow, who's the head of Nasi organization. This is Chana Rivka Jacobs, who seems like, from people that texted me, really is deep in the dating world and dating coach and sounds like a very special person. We're Whitman, who's a very famous person. So we're going to start off first. Rabbi Moshe is going to give a few opening words, and then we'll go to Mr. Jacobs, and then Rabbi Daniel, and then we'll go to live questions. Okay. Rabbi Moshe.
So, Menachem, you just mentioned the importance of appropriate hishtadlus to help smooth the way through the shidduch process. So Rabbi Moshe, well, let me ask you, at what age did you get your driver's license?
I don't know. When I was 92, I got it, I think.
So most of us probably were 16 or 17 years old. We went ahead and nudged our parents to take us into the DMV. And we spent a couple of minutes before we got to the DMV reading a book. And we took the written test. And we proudly had the driver's permits ready to drive. How many of those people who got the driver's permits did their mother or father said, "Hi, Shaifullah, you got your driver's permits. You're welcome to drive the car home from the DMV." I don't think anybody. And how many, when they got home, did Tati say, "Shaifullah, you have a permit? Take my keys to my late model Lexus or Tesla nowadays and go drive and ask your friends. They'll teach you how to drive," right? No sane parent would allow that. They understand that driving is an important skill. It's a dangerous skill. And even though their son or daughter has certainly driven a bike and maybe bumper cars and maybe even a jet ski, they're not ready to let them go drive the car without a good few hours of driver's ed to be able to be well prepared and experienced in driving a car. And yet when it comes to shidduchim, it's fascinating. At some point we decide our kids, our son, our daughter are ready for shidduchim, and go figure it out. Go start dating. And that doesn't seem to be a very smart approach to dating. Now, go figure it out. And over the years and the Nasi project and the various programs we've had, when we've been advocating for individual singles, especially singles who don't have an easy time in shidduchim, someone who gets a lot of dates and goes out a lot and many opportunities, it's not smart, but it's not the end of the world if they get into a couple of fender benders. We hope they don't have any, don't total any cars, any shidduch opportunities. But, they have opportunities. But I came to this from the programs where we dealt with singles that rarely get any dating opportunities. And if they're going to go out once every 6 months, every year and a half, every 2 years, we have to make sure that we have the best support in place to maximize each shidduch opportunity. And in fact, in those programs, we found that an overwhelming number of the shidduchim that actually got engaged would not have happened without the skilled involvement of very, very skilled dating coaches or guidance through the process. And then we realized that it's not just, the singles that are having difficulty time in shidduchim, although for them it may even be pikuach nefesh to make sure they get the proper guidance. But really, like I said, every single really, needs to go into shidduchim well prepared. It's just the smart thing to do. And for that end, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we put together a series of audios. I call them driver's ed for shidduchim. We've had over 2,000 downloads. And the boys, the girls, two audios for boys, 2 audios for girls, 2 audios for parents, simply to make sure that they understand the dating process, the different stages of dating. In shidduchim, we expect our singles in a course of 6, 7, 8, 10 dates to go from stranger to acquaintance to friend to close friend to best friend to potential spouse. How are they supposed to do that? How are they supposed to learn how to move from chit chat to meaningful conversation? How do they know what to share, when to share, how to share, what not to share? Very often we have situations where what might be appropriate to share on an 8th date is very inappropriate to share on a 2nd date. Maybe something negative about yourself, maybe a struggle. On a 1st, 2nd date, it's really not appropriate. But singles think they're comfortable, and they don't realize that by saying things that they really shouldn't be saying at that time, they end up ruining the shidduch. And these are the kinds of areas that we try to address. And we found that when the singles went into the shidduch process with this foreknowledge, whether it's from listening to the audios, from engaging, from someone who's well equipped to prepare them, it made a huge difference. They had a smoother shidduch process. They were able to date with clarity. And when they got engaged, they had a much more wholesome engagement and led to better marriages, because when you go into marriage from a better place of dating, you're going to have a better marriage, a more solid relationship. So that's the basic background to why we put together what I call this driver's ed for shidduchim series.
Thank you so much, Moshe. Mr. Jacobs, floor is yours.
Okay, so in the many years that I was involved with shidduchim, a particular core group, my favorite majority of my clientele of daters who are between the ages of, let's say, 28 through high 40s, what we were finding is that regardless of how many dates were suggested to them, how many dates they went out on, how many new creative ideas we'd find for them, it was very often the same situation. 1, 2, maybe 3 dates and done. And it was very challenging to us. How are we going to get them to the finish line if they fall off, dismiss it so early on? But once you really start to get to know these wonderful people, many of them, a majority of them, highly intelligent, very accomplished, very personable, and everyone is scratching their heads. How could this person still be around? Certainly, they must be getting lots of wonderful suggestions, but their method of dating was what I call, Rabbi Pogrow knows this piece, the cerebral dater. People who are dating with their head as opposed to their heart. And of course, it's important to use your brain to begin with, making sure that everything people told you about this person is actually true in terms of the midos that you see, the intellect, and wherever you're connecting, be it emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. But once you've done with that, it's literally, as I tell my delicious people, time to send your brain on a one-way trip to Aruba. These are people who have become successful at everything they do by following the dictates of their brain. And now we're asking them to ditch their brain, transfer it to their heart, and make decisions based on emotion, as opposed to the focused analysis, critical thinking that they are used to being successful with. It's a very, very hard, very difficult task. It creates tons of anxiety because they're in a completely different place than they ever were. They are navigating, new fields in a way that they never did before. And they literally need their hand held to reassure them, to remove many of the stressors, to be able to help them figure out what's important, what's not important, and to show them how to use positive thinking as opposed to their natural go-to critical thinking, which is inherently negative, picking out all the blemishes and the chesroinus as opposed to the wonderful good things that they could be enjoying and racking up. I also show them how to not be so focused on, can I marry this person? You don't have to know the answer to that question at the end of a first or second or even third date. All you need to know is there enough here for me to continue to explore? Would I like to see this person again? Would I like to get to know more about this person to see if I can connect with them? And we talk about connection and how it works with just sharing and caring, two simple words that they have to keep in their minds, and figure out if the activities, the conversation they're doing are creating more of a connection. But I guess we'll talk about some of that as people ask questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. Rabbi Whitman.
Pleasure.
Rabbi Asher, I'm sorry. First of all, thank you to Rabbi Asher and to Menachem for having me. I just want to edit your pronunciation. It's Whitman, not Whiteman. I get a lot of phone calls. The Whitemans have a swimming pool. People call us every year. We're not related. If you're looking for Whiteman, call someone else for the swimming pool. I just want to be makdim and echo something that was said before. The effort of hishtadlus, on the one hand, we are not allowed to shortchange it, to cop out of our obligation, to try as hard as we are supposed to try, and it's all avodah like that. But on the other hand, we have to start with this fundamental recognition that it's totally, totally not in our hands. We're doing what the Borei Olam asked us to do, to try, and he is in total control. And that conflict is something that if I had more time, I would discuss. But the part that I think that's most relevant is we have a tendency within our limited experience and with our limited abilities to err on the side of choosing the path of least resistance. Sometimes when we're uncomfortable making a shtadlis, we throw it onto bitachon. And sometimes when we're uncomfortable with bitachon, we're busy preaching that we have to do a shtadlis. Of course, the Torah wants our seichel to control, and that means we have to have full 100% bitachon and full 100% shtadlis. Now, another caveat that I think is important to start with is, and was also mentioned, but I just wanted to say it in my own nusach, not only to express it to others, but to remind myself, we have to be very, very, very careful when we are addressing the emotional pain of other Yidden. None of us are free of pain, and none of us have the right or the privilege or should have the ego to tread on someone else's pain. If I am to be asked by a single, what can I do, or this is difficult to me, and I fail to realize how sensitive the topic is, how much that person is hurting, then I simply have no right to discuss their issue, even though they're asking for help. So I start by saying that I, for one, am in admiration of all of the singles in the parasha, In today's day and age, it's much more difficult, at least I think it was when we were doing this. And Klal Yisrael's burden as a whole is being borne, I think, among other sufferers by the young people who are struggling in this parsha. And I salute them, and I am extremely sensitive and fearful of Chalila stepping on their pain. So now, if they're asking for help, so the question becomes, how do you try to help them? So in every modality, in any modality, if somebody wants to become an ice skater, if someone wants to be a professional singer, we have to ask ourselves, what is the goal? If we're not 110% sharp, razor sharp and clear about what the goal is, then it doesn't make sense that what we're doing is effective, because if the person asking for the help has a goal, even that's in a nuance slightly different, then we're leading them on a path that's not the path for them. So in saying that, I try to be careful not to foist my goal on the person that's asking me for help. At the same time, I want to clarify the philosophy, the hashkafa, the viewpoint from which I'm coming when I establish what I believe to be the general goal. What is the general goal? I think there's a lot of clouded confusion about the general goal, and I want to try to address it before I give a 1 or 2 minute overview of what I think is my approach to trying to help people who are asking for the help in this parsha. What's the goal? Sometimes it's easier to define it by saying what the goal is not. If we are to look in the pages of a magazine or on our computer screen, or go down to the bank or the shopping mall and say to ourselves, we're looking for a marriage somewhat similar to the marriages we see outside. In doing that, we may say to ourselves, well, a Jewish marriage is different, and we need to edit some of the details or color some of the nuances. I categorically reject, with a lot of oomph and passion, that notion, and I feel that that leads to a lot of the difficulties that people struggle with. All of us are influenced by our surroundings. The Rambam says it cannot be otherwise. However, we are Yidden, and the Torah spends an entire parsha with Yitzchak, Eliezer, Yitzchak, and Rivka. The Torah spends a whole parsha delineating a Yisoid that I heard from my Rebbe, Rav Yonasan David Shlita, the Rosh Yeshiva of Pachid Yitzchak in Chaim Berlin. The Torah spends a lot of time describing the difference, the categorical fundamental difference between a Jewish marriage and lahavdil elef havdalas, the marriage of the outside world. In a phrase, a Jewish marriage is a union of Shechina. It's a place, I'm not trying to talk about poetic melodrama. The practical, down-to-earth focus of the goal for a Yid should be to create a place where the husband and wife are a team trying to create a sniff, a branch of the Beis HaMikdash. If they're looking at Hollywood, or they're looking at the mall, or they're looking online, and they're associating these concepts, confusion and cloudedness of the Gullus have set in. If the goal is to choose a shidduch like Yitzchak had to find for Rivka, and Eliezer was busy saying, something's wrong with Lavan, something's wrong with this picture. We've got to find a Sheshana ben Achaychim, a rose among the thorns. The Goyish marriage is described in the Torah as chesed le'umim chatos. It's self-serving. Maybe my wife once, Maya Sheschael once made this, use this mashal. There's a saying in Sicily among the mafioso, I don't do favors, I accrue debts. And my wife said it's akin to the cross honoring that happens in New York. If the subway system is down, they'll honor your subway tokens on a bus. If the bus system is down, they'll put you on a subway train. Not because they have a gemach or the Bali Chesed, because they know that one day, they're also going to be in that situation and they'll need the favor back. If we're talking about, I will meet your needs if you meet my needs, and we have a project about what we can benefit ourselves, and if we have to do something for the other person to get it, we are thinking and acting like Goyim, and we are out of the realm of a successful shidduch. The chief shidduch in the Bria, the main shidduch in the Bria, I heard from my Rebbe, is the shidduch between our neshama and our guf that's inside of us. And the better we do at harmonizing those disparate elements, the better we harness the neshama and the guf to work together, the more effective we are at dating, and we are more effective at marriage. So now, to touch on that briefly, when the Mashgiach Ramat Solomon Zecher Tzaddik Levracha asked me to help him in BMG, not necessarily with dating, but with counseling the Talmidim and including dating, so I began to see, this goes back a decade or two, that really, if we focus on what the deeper goal is and we help them with the techniques, they will function better even in the practical. There's a pasuk in Tehillim about this. It says, "Peiroscha shashuai anshe atzasi." The Torah is lofty and esoteric, but it also comes down to the practical. So now, Rav Pam Zatzal is quoted as saying that the reason some singles wait a long time to find their shidduch is not because they're not sure what they're looking for, but rather, he said, they are unsure as to who they are. And to put that into the terminology that I'm comfortable with, in other words, I'll always ask a young person who's struggling, tell me about yourself before you talk about your dating. Who are you? What do you like? What are your goals? What makes you feel unique and special? Where do you see yourself going in life? What is it about you that's your ani, your identity? The more refined that is, the more cogent a message they feel within, the better they project a clear vision. And usually the dating goes better and they know what they're looking for better. So that's my overview to the topic. I'm here to try to help when asked. I am in awe and admiration of all Yidden who struggle on every level, and particularly with this struggle, which is so difficult. And I'm davening for Siyata Deshmaya to be the right shliach, to bring a person to a Torah view, a Torah-based awareness of what they're trying to do and how to get there.
Okay, shkach. Okay, we're gonna have some live questions. Before we get into the live questions, let's take a poll from everybody here. Let's see what everybody feels. 3 questions. Here we go. First question. What would you say needs more advancement in the shidduch world? 4 options. Everybody answer what you think would be the most correct answer in your opinion. Number 1, it's working Baruch Hashem. No need to change anything. Nothing's perfect. So basically, it is what it is. Number 2, parents are very picky and letting good prospects go. Option 3, boys and girls have a hard time to commit and are very particular. Option 4, a more open system where boys and girls have more group meetings. Okay, second question. Who do you think is the ideal to discuss shidduchim with? Like when you're talking about either a date or who to go out with, what not to go out with, who do you think, in your opinion, that you resonate with? Is your parents, your Rosh Hashivas, your Rebbeim, your friends? Option 4, I'm old enough to figure it out on my own. Or option 5, a therapist or a dating coach. Third question. What do you believe is the most significant challenge in the dating process today? 4 options. Finding a compatible match. Not so many normal people out there. No, I didn't write that. Number 2, balancing personal and family expectations. Not what I want, my parents don't want. So basically, they're dating, but it's not matching, to what their family wants. Number 3, staying positive when it seems bleak. That's, one of the significant challenges. Or number 4, not enough people pushing shidduchim together. There's not enough, I don't use the word Shadchanim, not enough just people, trying to really make it happen. So those are the 3 questions. Answer to the best of your ability. We'll review it, and then we'll go to the live questions. Five more seconds. Here we go. Okay, number 1, what do you say needs more advancement in the shidduch world? Only 7% of the people think that it's good the way it is. 26%. It's really the last 3 are really tied. Parents are very picky and letting good prospects go. 31% boys and girls are having a hard time to commit in particular. And number 3, actually the most, I mean, they're all within the same range, 26 to 31, this is 36%, a more open system where boys and girls have more group meetings. So I'm going to turn this to Moshe, just this question. What do you think of the first poll? What's your opinion on the question and the answers?
You want to know which of those 4 I agree with, or what I think is the biggest challenge?
So you're looking at more in a global view. Like, what do you think is the biggest challenge right now in the world that you think from these 4 things?
Only from those 4. Can you put those 4 back up? I lost them.
Number 1, I can't put it's up. It's basically it's working great. Parents are very picky and letting good prospects go. Boys and girls are having a hard time to commit in particular. A more open system where boys and girls have more group meetings. There should be more.
I mean, this is not what I'm here tonight to discuss, but on a global level, I think the answer is obviously none of the above.
Let me hear.
I'm sorry?
Let me hear your opinion.
On a global level, I think both by the Hasidim and by the non-Hasidim, by the Litvisha, the global problem is simply the inequity of numbers. But I don't know if we want to get into this conversation tonight or not. But if you have 200 boys and 300 girls in the pool, it's going to wreak havoc with whatever. No matter how many meetings, no matter how many Shadchanim, no matter picky or not picky, if the numbers are completely out of whack, there's very little we can do on a global big picture to really change that. So production work is being progress is being made on that.
Born than boys.
I'm sorry.
You hold as more girls.
I can't hear you.
You hold as more girls being born than boys.
No, there are not more girls being born than boys, but there are more 19-year-old girls than 23-year-old boys.
Well, if they're the same amount of number being born, eventually they should equal out, right?
No, because kindergarten is larger than 4th grade because of population growth. So even though if in kindergarten they are the same boys and girls, and in 4th grade they're the same boys and girls, but
okay, so basically, if we killed about 1/3 of the girls, we'll be good. That's what you're saying. That's the
1/8. That's 1/8. So that's why. It's by the way, in Lakewood, you can't get into a high school if you're a girl because the 8th grade is much larger than 9th grade. It's a very similar concept. So on a global level, if you ask the question, threw it out there, I'd have to. I would lose my job probably if I didn't.
I'm not to be a man dumber, but it just to me that this sounds silly. Honestly, I'm being honest.
Silly.
Yeah, because you're saying because the 2-year difference, there's such a.
It's about 10% different every year.
It's numbers.
About 200 every year. After 5 years, here in Lakewood, just take a number. In Lakewood, in the years between 2020 and 2025, right, this 6-year period, the number of Lakewood-born girls hitting age 20, as compared to the Lakewood-born boys hitting age 23, 1,100 plus more Lakewood-born girls hitting age 20 than boys hitting age 23. This is birth date in Lakewood.
So is there an answer besides making younger boys marry older girls?
If the boys start a little younger and the girls start a little later, and boys are open to dating girls close to their own age, that's really on a global level. That's really the.
And you have the same shidduch problems with people older also.
I'm
Even
sorry. I'm talking about the new group every year.
Oh, okay.
Incoming every year, we have an excess, but I didn't want to discuss this tonight unless.
No. I know that's an opinion. I know basically on the number that's definitely an opinion. Okay, let's go to the second question. Who do you think is the ideal to discuss shidduchim with? 44% of people. Number 1 answer is parents. Only 6% Rosh Hashiva. 8% friends. 6% I'm old enough to figure it out myself. And the runner-up answer is therapist or a dating coach. Mr. Jacobs, what do you think about this?
I'm happy to hear. Dating coaches actually provide an objective perspective that is very refreshing to most people. They feel like, yes, I'm old enough to make decisions myself, but when you're Nogea B'davar, it's very, very hard to see out of the fear of I'm going to make a terrible mistake for the rest of my life. So if I can speak to a dating coach, if I can speak to a therapist, if that's necessary, then I'm going to get just whatever my thoughts are going to be validated. We're going to discuss it, and I will feel so much more confident in making a decision. I'm so happy to hear that so many people are already on board with that and encouraged.
Okay, let's go to the third poll over here. What do you believe is the most significant challenge in the dating process today? So this is a very interesting question, and it's pretty split across the board. So 29% of the people say finding a compatible match, not so many normal people out there. 90% balancing personality, personal and family expectations. What I want is not what my parents want. 27% of the people staying positive when it seems bleak. 26% of people, not enough people pushing shidduchim together. Rabbi Whitman.
It's very interesting, Rabasher. I have to echo the sentiment that Moshe said before, which is when the question has a fundamental set of hanachas before it's asked, meaning if the biggest problem is option 5, it's not going to be on this list. Shall I pick one of the 4 or shall I ad lib?
No, say no, whatever you feel.
So ask me the question again, because I don't have the poll in front of me. The nusach.
And for somebody who's dating right now, and we're gonna get into people also that are older also a little bit, but let's just keep that in mind when we're talking tonight, because we're talking, it sounds very for young people. There's also a lot of older people also. What's the most significant challenge in the dating, the process, the whole, is it, so we're saying simply finding a normal person to marry, balancing like what I want and what my parents or my family or my values are. Sometimes people want to marry somebody much more firm than their family wants. Number 3, a big challenge is just it's so depressing when it's not going anywhere, or you're dating so much you're going nowhere, or you're not getting any dates. Or option 4, there's not enough people pushing shidduchim. Like you're 22-year-old boy, 21-year-old girl, and there's just, you meet 1 or 2 big Shadchanim in Lakewood, or that do 10,000 shidduchim, and you're like a number. It's not like everywhere you go, like people are pushing it. So those are the 4 things that are coming up with that question. But if there's other things, we could discuss that.
So I'd like to say this. I'm looking for a one-word answer. I'm going to go with identity. In other words, if I feel alive, energetic, bubbly, excited about who I am, let's say I wasn't an identical twin, which I am, and people didn't think my name was Whitman sometimes, which they do. If I thought that I was the only person in the world who could do X, Y, and Z, and I was just in love with what I did, I feel I'm on my personal mission and I'm acing it. Theoretical. So if that's true, if my parents are looking for something else, I want to broaden that and say, any external social pressure coming externally, it could be within my family, my school, my work environment, my shul, whatever social environment I'm in. But the stronger my sense of identity is, the more alive and exuberant I am about my own personal uniqueness, the less I feel encroached on. I can be respectful to my parents or others. I can value their opinion, but I can totally march to the beat of my own drummer because I'm comfortable with what I'm doing and who I am. Now, if you say who normal, my wife likes to say the only place you'll find normal today is on the dryer right under permanent press. Just keep turning the dial. There is no other place to find normal. There's no way to even define normal. If we know that the Borei Olam gave a shidduch, a zivug for each person, so the question, again, if my sense of who I am is strong enough, and I value that the Borei Olam gave me a mission, B'shvili nivra olam, I'm unique, I have a unique contribution. By the same token, he designed a unique shidduch that's only for me. So the question isn't, does the pool have enough people who are blonde or redhead or tall or short? Because the pool is inconsequential. I'm only looking for that one person who was designed to match my specific mission. So if that's strong enough, I don't think that I will feel encumbered by the lack of normal people, nor will I feel encumbered by exterior pressure, and I'll include parents, as well-meaning as they may be. But if I feel that I need to go in a way that's different, then I've got to be true to myself and understand what my own path is and take into account my parents and value them. But I have to, ultimately, I'm the one who has to make the decision. As far as enough people pushing it, like every hishtadlus, and I mentioned this in my opening, if I'm clear that I've got to do every single thing that's normal and healthy in my power, and then recognize that God is doing it, so whether or not all the boys that I want to date or girls that I want to date are in the parsha, in the freezer. There are enough people pushing this or pushing that. It's immaterial to me because the Borei Olam is controlling everything around me. He's even controlling me, except where he gave me the job to try is vis-a-vis myself. I'm not in charge of what other people do, so it's inconsequential. That's part of the Hashgacha Elyoina. What was the first option in that list? I apologize for asking again.
Fine, there's not so many like just normal people that I want to be married to.
I'm sorry, so I missed the number. There, I did normal, I did parents, and I did pushing. What was the fourth?
Not enough people pushing shidduchim, staying positive when it's bleak.
The positivity. There we go. So that's my home run. A person who feels fulfilled, an older single, and again, I'm clapping al chet. I'm not an older single, so I won't say I know your pain and it's not so bad and you should just hold on. I'm not going to give you platitudes. You are hurting and it hurts. I admire you and my heart feels some of the pain it should feel in recognition and in admiration of your meeting this challenge, this nisayon. At the same time, if you're feeling fulfilled because the Borei Olam is with you, then keeping positive becomes easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's a method to make it easier. So I say that identity checks all four boxes and incorporates all of them.
Rabbi Whitman, where do we get identity from? Maybe they have to start in schools much younger. Because
I am
talking
so
about-
glad you asked me that question.
talking about
Allow
those
me.
who have to find a coach or a therapist for
Allow me.
their basic identity.
So I will wax prolific on this until you stop me. We're in a gullus now called Yavan Sheba Edom. It's the Roman Catholic Church adopting Western society, the father of which was Aristotle. Chazal say the two greatest philosophers who ever lived, whose goal was to subjugate Jews, were Bilam and his Talmud Aristotle. And what they sought to do was to label and categorize, to diagnose each of us and make us feel deep down like that we are somehow flawed or broken or guilty. That negativity was used by Alexander the Great at Aristotle, his Rebbe's suggestion, as a method of subjugating the people that he conquered. In this gullus, our greatest challenge is the lack of identity. So the classroom that we have, even in our Moistus HaKodesh, was designed around the Greek Yavan Sheba Edom. It fails us chiefly in this element, in that it seeks to give us value according to society. Did you get an A? How do you rate with the other children? Are you answering the same questions on the same test as other people? That's why these young adults feel less. This was Aristotle's scheme that he advised Alexander. And the Geula comes from rejecting it. Here's how. The Ramchal says that, and I paraphrase, the word ani, my identity, is comprised of a contraction. An shali. It means my special mission, my destination. My special mission, my destination, what makes Daniel Rafal unique, a lot of people think I'm Beryl, we're identical, but I'm not. What makes me unique? It's not my hair color, it's not my fingerprints, it's not my orthodontics. In those cases, most of them, they're actually identical to someone else. I shared the womb with someone. The part that makes me unique is that the Rebbeinu Shalom has no doubles. I have a mission which no one else has. How do I find that mission, says the Ramchal? It's a pasuk in Eishes Chayil. My ani is comprised of two subsets of ani. Me'ayin basa ula'an atahoylech. The world is like an ocean. Mayim in Torah is the tzibur. There's a current, there's a flow, there's a momentum. We're all in the process of the gullus that's leading to Geula. But each of us have an individual mission. My identity. Says the Ramchal, if I look me'ayin basi, and I use that as a tool to try to understand what talents, what opportunities, what flaws, but they're not really flaws, they're guideposts to where I should go. If someone were to say, Daniil, you should be an 8-foot-tall black basketball player stuffing it for the Lakers, I know that's not my on. Why? Well, I'm white. I'm, I don't know, 5'7". I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I play basketball pretty well, but not that well. I can't dunk it. So in other words, the Kadmonim give a mashal on this Mishnah. Me'ayin basa ula'an atahoylech. And they say like this. Once upon a time, a man was walking on a journey. Let's say he was traveling to Damascus, and he's walking on a road for miles and miles. He comes to a four-way stop, a four-way turn, and he's lost. And he looks in every direction. He's not sure which way to go. On the ground is a four-way signpost. One way points to Beirut, one way points to Damascus, the other way points to Baghdad. So there's a clever boy sitting nearby on a rock, and the boy sees the man and says, "What's the problem?" He says, "I'm lost." So the boy says, "How are you lost?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to get to Damascus." So the boy says, "Well, just go." So the man says, "But I don't know which way." So the boy says, "Well, read the sign." So the man says, "I can't read the sign." The boy says, "Why not?" He says, "Well, it's on the ground." So the boy says, "Me'ayin basa." Stand up the sign, look behind you. Are you tall or short? Are you intelligent or less so? What makes you feel special? If that classroom that you mentioned, Rabbi Menachem, had had a master mechanech in it, he or she would have cultivated the sense of uniqueness that each child has. If they had done that in kindergarten through 12th, as Rabbi David Alash Shalom said to me once, think of uniforms. What a deficit that is in terms of chinuch. I know that it's sometimes necessary. She had it in her school as well. But when you legislate what every child should wear, when they all wear something that's uniform, how are you inculcating that sense of uniqueness? How are you nurturing and guiding them to make the choices to grow? So to answer your question in a nutshell, by rejecting the gullus that seeks to quantify, qualify, and diagnose us, by learning to feel enthused with our avodas Hashem, and particularly to follow our uniqueness, we will develop a sense of me'ayin basi, so that I can figure out la'an ani hoylech. And if
Amazing.
I have that pretty strong,
It sounds like we have to make a whole program on identity itself, and it sounds like you have a lot in Mitzvah Hashem. But I think we should start focusing a little bit on shidduchim, and we'll get back, even though that's the core, what you're saying.
That's good. I just want to make one comment to Moshe. Not that I disagree with the Nasi with the numbers. I agree with that. I just don't. My opinion, I was just trying to say is like I don't feel it's the core issue. It could be that is an issue, but it's like to say that's the thing that I just want to clarify. Not maching back the ganze Zach.
I don't want to get into a debate there,
Let's
but
not go there. Let's not go there.
if you have 10% without a match, if that's not the elephant in the room, I don't know what is.
We'll have to talk about it.
Okay, separate conversation.
There's plenty of older single boys.
You
It's
have
a
numbers?
topic. It's a topic.
Separate topic. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, let's go to the first live question. You're on, Ari.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. After the Holocaust, singles dated and married in DP camps without their parents calling references. Today's singles in their 20s and 30s, grandchildren of these Holocaust survivors, wholeheartedly refuse to go on stam first dates unless if their parents make a bunch of reference calls. What is so different about today's singles that they can't do things on their own? Do intrusive reference calls before going on a first date make better marriages than the marriages of our grandparents?
Great question.
I'm gonna go to Mrs. Jacobs. You hear his question?
Yes, very good question. Unfortunately, in the DP camps, the desperation was such that they didn't know that there's going to be a Jewish world again. And they were coming together to build a world that was in ashes. Today, Baruch Hashem, there's beautiful Yiddish communities all over, and people feel that they have the luxury of choosing. and they don't want their children to date unnecessarily and burn out, or not date what they are actually looking for, and so they make these reference calls. But it is a very good question. Most older singles choose to start, many older singles, I should say, choose to start with a coffee date, which is a date that's not picking up the girl from her house, not sitting down for an hour and being fahered by anybody, but meeting in a coffee shop or someplace similar for an hour to just check that this even makes sense. If it's not nogea, they don't want to waste their time on either of them. It's not good for either of them. They've been out with so many people. There's been so much challenge in dating. There's no point in doing, as you say, all the research and, asking everybody and their grandparent if this works for me. Let them see by themselves. And certainly the first 10 minutes is worth at least 10 to 20 phone calls of references. And they're mature enough to recognize that, and they're both in agreement that if this is not nogea, we don't need to continue. Very nice to meet. And it was, good for both of them.
All right. Does that answer your question?
For now.
Okay. I'm glad.
I just want to mention there are people that are scared to let their younger children go on this coffee date, which I think is a great idea because they feel that
Not for the younger ones. This is for the older ones who've been doing this on their own already for a while. They've been the ones dealing with Shadchanim. They're going to speed dating events. They don't need that initial whole reference checking for days, weeks, etc. They're ready to just go on a date. They can figure it out themselves if this makes sense for them or not. And
by the way, go
if
ahead
they're
after I'll
both
ask a
happy,
follow-up.
if they're both happy, they do agree to do a little bit of checking afterwards. Yes, sorry.
Also, unfortunately, many suggestions get nixed when one side has references who does not answer their phones right away. And as a result of that, there are now many singles using AI bots as their references. And they're now getting engaged much more quickly than singles who use humans as their references. How would you respond to this challenge?
I would say that we have to go back to that resume and check out who the person's references are. When a person is chosen as a reference, they have a responsibility to get back to the people who call them. They might not be available that
responsible when you put
minute
something down as your reference. You got to be responsible.
Yeah.
You got to have people that are responsible, that call back, that you
Yeah.
just have people that don't respond. That's a
And
little
if you have somebody that really doesn't respond or is not well spoken and can't promote the single in an animated and warm way, they should be substituted by somebody else.
But what about the phenomenon of many singles now using AI bots as references?
Above my pay grade, sorry.
I'm not familiar with that area. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's go to the next question. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I am Chaya Sega. My English name is there because I was in another Zoom before that they wouldn't have any idea what Chaya Sega meant. They would say, "Who is this?" First off, my main question, I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but my main question is that most of these forums are directed to the younger people looking to find a partner. I've got on many of these, and I've done Jewish dating various times. I've done a lot of things. So who, where, when do older singles find connections, partners? I live in Connecticut. I do not live in New York. There are countless Jewish men in New York. I have joined Jewish singles where, you know, I did have a long relationship with someone from Westchester, which is 40 minutes from here, half hour from here. But normally they're in Brooklyn, they're all over the place. And very importantly, anyone near my age, I met you at Sinai, meet at Sinai, one of that. They wanted women 20 years younger. Where is their ego? That is their ego speaking. I mean, you think a 40-year-old's gonna want to go out with a 65-year-old? I mean, they could get somebody much younger. So that's my basic platform of why I have decided to go live and ask some questions. I welcome your responses, the professional people here. Can you do me a favor though and speak slowly and get to the point? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes I go off if too many words are spoken. Thank you.
Mrs. Jacobs, go first, please.
Okay, there is a wonderful group called the Seattle Shadchanim with Lori Young and Aliza Ben Shalom that do Zoom speed dating events that are all over the country. It includes even Israel and some of Europe. And they have these events for 40 and up many times a year.
Can you repeat that, please, Chana?
Sure. The Seattle Shadchanim, her name is. I have to find out the email address for her and
Shadchanim, Shotkin.
Shadchan. Shadchanim.
SHAV.
D as in donut.
D. Shotkin. Okay.
And Aliza Ben Shalom and it's a group of women who specifically are conducting Zoom speed dating events with also, Kim Solomon, Lori Young, that begin at age 40 or 45 sometimes.
Honey, excuse me, ma'am. I'm more than 40.
No,
I'm talking older than that. No, it's important.
They have, I was going to tell you, they also have 50s and 60s at different times of year. I can try to put you in touch with.
Thank you.
Fega, you're going to email Coach Menachem at Gmail. We'll send an email afterwards, and we'll send you the information. We'll get all the information from her and we'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay. Should I give you my email?
Just email Coach Menachem at gmail.com.
I'll send her the info in 2 minutes in the chat. Okay, next.
Okay, let's go to the question first. I'm going to ask this to Rabbi Whitman. I'm in a dating partner now for a while, and I always feel stuck not knowing if there's actually my bashert. How does one know, and what guidance can you give to parents and mentors? Somebody who's dating for a long time, they just feel, maybe I don't have a bashert. I don't know. There's no age on it.
Well, I'll start by saying Whitman again, Rabbi Sir, it's fine. Not Whitman, Whitman. The question is a hashkafa shaila, and perhaps this isn't the place to address it at length. it also depends, are we a young person who's a bacher, who's in a yeshiva? Is it a young lady? Do they have a mentor, a rebbe? Are they in close contact with their parents? How one knows that something is their bashert, if you want to use the literal words of the question, is impossible. No one knows anything to that degree of clarity, but the process itself involves an intellectual pursuit, asking questions, weighing various elements of the decision. And then when one walks down from the chuppah, one knows with emunah that they married their bashert. Again, if the goal is to connect with another person in terms of making a place for the Shekhinah, then it's no longer about, I wanted this and I deserve this and she does this for me, therefore I'll do this for her, but if she doesn't do that, then I don't have to do the other. So then it's easier to be aware and to feel confident that when one did ask the eitzah of the person who's most relevant, and one did make the logical choices in weighing the circumstances of the shtadlus, that at the end of the process, it culminates with a sense of awareness that Hashem led us to this choice. But to know is impossible.
Okay. I want to go to the next live question, if that's okay. Moshe, it's going to be for you. Hi. Unmute. Hi.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so my question is that I've always heard a lot about the shidduch crisis and the girls don't have dates, and this is a problem. And I have noticed personally that with the son and shidduchim, that a lot of girls have been saying no for reasons that to me don't seem so relevant. So I'm just wondering if I, could hear and comments about that.
Moshe, you go first.
That's certain. That if girls, again, I don't know. It's a very general question. It's very not specific. Are we talking about saying no before the shidduch is on, after the shidduch is on? But certainly,
no, before. Sorry. Before the shidduch is read, and I'm the boy's mother who is saying no to the girl, and then the girl comes back and said, I'm saying yes to the girl. I do all my research, and then the girl either does research or doesn't do research. Sometimes the girl comes back and says, no, he's only, an inch taller than me, and I want to go out with someone who's much taller, or, for various reasons. We don't think the families are matim, or we just don't think it's going to work without even getting to a date. So it was just a big shock to me that this is happening, because I was under the impression that girls don't have dates. So I was just surprised that this has been going on.
Again, without knowing specific details of the situation, it's impossible to comment really accurately. But in a general sense, a girl who gets a yes certainly has the right to look into something, and they don't have to give a yes just because they got a yes. At the same time, girls or boys, and certainly if they don't have a lot of opportunities, if they get a yes, to not give it a shot, is for if it's a silly reason, that's not a smart approach to shidduchim. Again, I don't know your son, I don't know the situation. I have no idea knowing why they're saying no. If they're saying no, and you also don't really know why they're saying no. I can't imagine that a young woman who has read a shidduch to your son, let's say, and it was really a great idea, and they really thought it was a great idea, and they just decided not to do it. Obviously, they have a reason why they feel it's not a good idea. Now, maybe that reason is one that's a little superficial, and in which case, that girl is hurting it for herself. But I don't know how that relates on the globe. And now, if you think that because girls in general have a harder time, therefore girls should go out with shidduchim that they think are really not matim, I don't think that's fair to superimpose upon the girls. At the same time, if girls don't have, or if girls or boys find themselves without shidduch opportunities, they certainly should be willing to give a shot to something that may not check every single one of the boxes. But that's just in a very general sense. I can't really answer specifically for your particular situation, and I can't say how that reflects in a general sense, the fact that there are many, many singles that can wait many, many months.
Let's take the question a little bit. Let's make it a little bit bigger. The last
I-
one second. So just a general question. We're about boys or girls, like in general, like as the younger thing, do you find that people are being very particular or very picky because their child is either very young or because they have the opportunity to look for something to, something more because they think their son is better or their daughter is better. And a lot of shidduchim, and then that turns into older boys and girls. Mrs. Jacobs, do you see this a lot? What's your opinion on this?
So, a lot of people unfortunately think that older singles are very picky, and that's why they landed up where they are today. Unfortunately, I don't believe that is so. I think that they're making, in most cases, good decisions about who they're seeing and who they're not. It could be that what I'm seeing more often is that they're saying yes to something and they're not giving it enough of a shot to really evolve into a relationship and connect. So I'm coming at it from a different angle.
Just to clarify, I guess what my point is that girls are often complaining that the boys have it better and the girls are the ones who don't have dates, and yet I've been finding that the girls aren't giving yeses. So I understand what Rabbi Pogrow was saying, but that's just my take on it. That it's okay, if a girl's allowed to say no, but then don't be walking around saying, oh, we don't have any dates.
Right.
I would just comment. I assume if there is a girl out there that says no all the time, she's probably not the girl that's saying, "Hey, I don't get any dates." I mean, there are certainly girls. Everybody's a different person. Everybody's a different situation. I would think that if there are girls that are getting a lot of opportunities and saying no, they're not going to hear from that girl or her mother, "Hey, Shadchanim are never calling us." I don't think they're the same person.
Right. Good point.
Okay, amazing. Let's go to the next live question. Amir, hi.
Hi, thank you so much. I have two questions. I would like to hear from Rabbi Whitman. What can you suggest to someone who is sure about a person he or she is dating, but people are making comments or asking questions about the shidduch because of family history, his or her past, mental illness? What can you answer to them, and how can you remain strong inside of yourself? And then I also had another question of what is our hishtadlus in terms of dating boys who had a history with substances, someone who vapes or smokes, being that it has become a very common thing amongst many people in various communities, all different types. Those are really...
I just want to clarify, when you say substance, you mean vaping and smoking only, or you mean other things?
Well, I would say, obviously, if it's other things, you have to make sure that the person is in a healthy place and has done the work that they need to. But in terms of vaping and smoking, I think that's like pretty much a constant, more common thing that people do on a daily basis. So I just would want to hear, I guess, about both.
Okay, let me try to address what you said. I'm working on understanding the exact language you used. What the first question you asked, if I understood you correctly, it began with a premise. The premise is, I am sure this is the person I'm supposed to marry. And then the question was, based on that premise, how do I deal with pressure from other people about the background, the family, or the past? So correct me if I understood it incorrectly, but I'm going to go with your hanacha that you have some knowledge in this theoretical circumstance that this is the bashert. I don't know where one would get that definitive knowledge, but I'm glad if there is a person who has the right person and they feel confident, that's extra good. If, again, I would give you a series of exercises that the Torah prescribes on a daily basis. I can think of 4 of them. This is not the forum for it, though. But if I gave you a series of exercises, we know the Sefer HaChinuch brings a famous axiom, ha'adam nifal lefi pu'leisav. When we desire to affect a change internally, and we choose an external behavior and repeat it with the intention of ingraining within ourselves and strengthening a perspective, something that's internal, it has an effect. So if I'm trying to encourage or strengthen my sense of individuality and my sense of conviction, and I have to weather external pressure, Rabbeinu Bachaya says, or Matasio used to say over, that Avram Avinu, who was the greatest, the first and greatest Maimon, who chose to believe in Hashem against literally the entire world, so he was unmatched in the strength of his conviction. Nonetheless, Hashem told him to leave Haran because had he stayed in a place among people who disbelieved, ultimately his belief would have been somewhat weakened. So if you're asking me what to do, I would say we look in our toolkit for those exercises that strengthen our sense of individuality, conviction, aka identity, and that will give us the sense of understanding that the people who are well-meaning and allowing their fear to overcome their better judgment, they mean well, we can appreciate them and respect them, but we can continue again to march according to the beat of our own drum. As far as the second thing you said, I didn't pick up the question part. If you're telling me that in today's world it's likely that young men are vaping or smoking, I first of all haven't taken a poll. I did have a yeshiva for a number of years at a Beis Medrash and a kollel, and I remember someone advising me, this goes back maybe a decade and a half, someone told me, do not try to forbid the Bachrim in your Beis Medrash from smoking. There is no yeshiva in America where that's effectively accurately what's taking place. You can either make a rule and be ignored or have them do something behind your back or ignore it. I don't know if that's the right advice for that circumstance either, but if you're stating a fact, what shall I say about it? Should a person stay unmarried and not marry one of those people if everyone is doing that? Is there a question? I didn't pick up what's the question?
Yeah, it's basically that I that's the question, and I wanted to hear from a rabbinical perspective what the approach might be.
What's the question? Should I stay unmarried or marry someone who smokes?
Well, pretty much, yeah. Or should I say no to somebody just because of that?
So I don't know the statistic. Let's assume for a moment that every living eligible bacher is Khalila smoking or vaping. I'll just take that as a position, a theoretical. So I would say at least the men have a mitzvah of marriage. The women certainly have a role to fulfill in marriage. And I would say that there's a debate whether this is allowed according to halacha, smoking. Many poskim say, Rafael Cohen Zatzal held it was usher. Many say it's usher. But let's assume for a moment that every yeshiva bacher has a cheskes kashrus and their behavior is warranted according to halacha. If I'm uncomfortable with vaping or smoking, but at the cost of getting married, if I was a young lady, I would say I need to become more comfortable with what everyone's doing, assuming it's mutter because I want to get married.
I hear.
It may well be that it's not everyone that's doing it, and therefore we can look for someone who's not, but that's information you seem to have that I don't have.
I just want to mention on a side note that there happens to be a lot of Bachrim do smoke and the vaping and this, as I see it myself, as they get older, people in their 20s and the 30s. Happens to be where I live, everybody smoked when I got married. Like when I moved here in the 20, everybody was 25, 30, everybody smoked. And today everybody's 40. I don't think even one guy smokes here today, like nobody. As people get older and mature, they either because of health reasons or they just grow out of it. A lot of people do stop. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody stops. Obviously, a lot of people do smoke, but
I agree with you that the trend has certainly been to shy away from it, but I would just caution, we wouldn't want someone to go into any shidduch on the basis of a change. If someone marrying someone who's a little too heavy for them or a little too short for them and they expect them to grow or lose weight or etc., it wouldn't be the right approach to take.
Okay, and can I go back to the first question for a moment?
Please.
How people really say things, and it's just in the moment. Like people could really just sometimes, they don't mean wrong, but just out of curiosity or confusion or I don't know, just they could ask a question that seems very could take you off guard, or it seems very like not really anything that's of their concern, but how do you answer them in an appropriate way that's, you're not providing personal information that you don't feel like giving, but at the same time, saying that in a respectful and non-negative manner, or
Confrontational way. So that's a very good question. I mean, the Chafetz Chaim discusses this in a number of places in his Sefer. The Torah guides us in this. The word emes doesn't mean what we say in English is truth. Emes means what the Torah dictates should be said in a given circumstance. So there are many times when a person's personal or intimate life should not be brought to the public attention, and there are many people who, for one reason or another, lack the tact or the insight or the delicacy to know what they should or shouldn't say. One answer that's a good go-to answer is, it's hard to say. Are you going on vacation this week? It's hard to say. Do you think that fellow over there is really a good guy or a bad guy? Do you think that girl is someone that I should become friends with? It's hard to say. I wish I had the answer. I'm really not sure. You can be obfuscating and respectful. Again, when you're confident and you understand your position, there are innumerable ways you can just deflect the question. If you need coaching with that, you may want to watch some politicians.
Okay. Fine. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
A great pleasure. A pleasure and a
Thank you.
privilege.
Okay. Let's go to another question that came in over here. Give me a second. Okay, Mrs. Jacobs, somebody send this for you. I'm a 28-year-old girl, and I've been dating many boys. Now I'm in the middle of dating a boy that I feel that I've been doing. I'm sorry. Now I'm in the middle of dating a boy that I feel I have been doing this for so long already. And why say yes to this one? Can you please guide me? Help me understand why I have a hard time. Is it a commitment or something else? Like, she's dating for such a long time, and she just like feels like, why should I say yes to this boy if I dated 20 boys before her? You know what I mean? Is she just like I guess the question is, she likes her a little bit, but maybe she's just giving up all the other boys she did. Like, maybe she has a commitment issue.
This is a wonderful question asked by many people. Why now? And why this one? Should I settle here? And what I tell them is that they need to forget about the past. The reason they said no to everybody else in the past was a good reason at the time. They made a good decision. Now they have to deal with this person that's in front of them as if this is the very first person they were ever dated. This is something new. This has potential. Go into it with that positivity. Look for all the milas here, rack them up. Keep your eyes somewhat open for any chesrinus, but they have to be deal breakers. Also, she's 28 years old. She really wants to get married now. Perhaps when she was 22, it wasn't so, I'm not going to say important, but she didn't feel the pinch as much. So the decision she makes today will be a mature decision about this person alone, nothing to do with the past. So let her look at this as a new opportunity, a brand new, fresh start, and go for it. See what you can find here that will make you happy. Don't make any comparisons to the past. Just look at this as a brand new opportunity and see if it could work for you.
What would you add to the idea of people have a hard time with commitment? How would you coach them? How do you know if that's what it is?
That is a tremendous sugya in itself. Commitment fear comes from many different things. We all have our fears, and we can never judge somebody else for their fears because they may be challenged by it in a much greater way than we are. So when we look at someone and say, they're too picky, we're not taking at all into consideration all the things that they are being challenged by in this very difficult avoida of finding their bashar. If somebody is, for instance, a person who, as we spoke about in the beginning, that's very successful, very accomplished, used to making choices over a longer period of time with lots of evidence, thinking critically, analyzing, and being right. How scary is it to go into the most important decision of their life with less information than when they had to decide which cell phone to get? Seriously, we're giving them very little time to decide. We're giving them only potential to look at. A person is an olam male, layers and layers. They have to connect on to somebody on so many different receptor sites. And the older they get, the more mature, the more developed they are, the more receptor sites they need to connect to this person. And we're asking them to make a decision in just a few weeks. It's ludicrous to them. And they're very focused people. They're people who usually put off pleasure in terms of, in terms of being correct. And now, how could they ever feel right when there are so many things they don't know about this person? I don't call it a commitment phobia. I call it a fear of, to a certain extent, being wrong. Can we blame them? But if we can guide them and slowly help them through the process, it's very overwhelming when there are so many fears and so many concerns. But if we can slowly show them that some of these concerns are not as strong and not as worrisome, some things are, as we say, a mum oiver, they'll grow up, they'll be much more mature, they'll be able to take care of the children, don't worry. Some of the things, and I show them how to go about assessing it and getting the reassurance. The more reassurance they get, the more they can talk about something openly with the person they're dating, the more the anxiety goes down and the more the confidence and the trust comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can look at it as a cage, a circular cage with 10 man-eating lions. Sometimes at the circus, they present that in the middle. And the trainer, the lion tamer, comes in to the cage. 10 man-eating lions, each sitting on their little perch, their little stool. Who wouldn't be overwhelmed by that? But imagine if the trainer came into the cage and they forgot their whip, or they forgot the piece of meat that the lion gets as a reward. How could they possibly stay in that cage for more than a second? They would run. That's the fight or flight feeling, the overwhelmed feeling of all the fears, bogging down on a person that they might feel. But if we can show them, you are in control, you can tame each lion individually. You know it. You can speak to them openly. You can have conversations that will give you that confidence. And they do it and deal with each fear individually, as opposed to all of them just overwhelming them and making them run. They can do it and they can be successful and not run away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you want to go to the next live question? Are we ready? Rebecca, are you available?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
How are you?
Just one moment. Can you just wait one moment, please?
We're all gonna wait.
I'm sorry. Just one moment.
No problem. Technical difficulties.
Mr. Jacobs, I just want to thank you. If it gets too late, maybe before.
I appreciate. I'm going to let you know.
Thank you. And then you let us know how people can, whether it's reach you or the information that you have, you'll send me. So people that need it, it's Hashem.
I think somebody already sent it to you, the
Okay,
question
yes.
that was asked before.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hi.
you're up.
Oops. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so what I really wanted to say is it's interesting. I'm from England, as you can hear. I came here when I was 17 years old. And Baruch Hashem, I married a Hasidic man. I'm divorced at the moment. I raised, Baruch Hashem, 4 wonderful children, have grandchildren. The point I want to bring out here is, and I don't know why this has changed. For me, when anybody would say to me, like, you know, are you worried? What kind of shidduchim? Maybe people know there's something going on between you and my children's father. Never, ever, ever did it worry me a moment. Why? In my mind, and no one will take that away, the shidduch will come unbelievably at the moment it's supposed to, and whoever it's supposed to be. How many times I think back and say, well, how did I not see it? It doesn't make a difference at this point. What I'm trying to say is I feel that there's a tremendous lack at this point where people really honestly, the whole, yes, it's changed the whole world, but it's changed a very lot. But I don't see anybody putting Hashem in the picture here. And I think that would be the easiest way. If people would really understand, because I do believe that we do end up marrying who we're supposed to marry, whatever the case is. And if we, you know, if we put it that way, if we do really, really believe that, and we turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that way, we never can fail. I don't care whether I had to get divorced. This is exactly what my journey is part of. So I'm wondering why, like, people will say, you know, I'm dating and I mean, I'm a very open-minded person. I do understand I come from a Litvishamore kind of a house in England. It was my decision, but I'm trying, what I feel is, and also one other point I wanted to bring out. I did, like I say, my children, I married somebody Hasidish. The honest truth is, my son, whatever, my oldest son, my son's my oldest granddaughter got married at the age of 18. Why am I saying this? I do believe very much when the girl, I mean, because to me, it was also like when the girl is younger and the parents have done most, and these girls believe in their parents. They mamamish believe. They come in to take a little talk or something, and it's not that, I can't explain it. If you see it, you know it. So I'm wondering why there's not more emphasis on, besides the psychological and the mythological and the this and the that, and if people would just look at it the way it is, I mean, not the way it was, the way it is. Like you were saying, I mean, a shidduch is called out 40 days before one is born. So basically, can somebody like this take away someone's shidduch? Can they miss it? Can they miss the boat? I mean, what actually goes on?
Right, I mean, let me take a question. Let me clarify a little bit. If everything's about shared, and obviously we're talking about doing your shtadlus, whatever's going to be is going to be anyway. Can somebody, by being non-committal, or by the parents saying, we don't like this girl, are they going to get married anyway? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Nothing's going to stop it.
1,000,000%. I saw it.
Rabbi Whitman.
This is a question, my friend, for the ages. Again, when we discuss, so I'm going to say I don't know, but I'm going to say the Bari Olam doesn't want us to figure out all of his mysteries. The Kabbalah we have in this Indian is that the Torah enjoins us to take hishtadlus in terms of all of the intellectual questions we can ask before marriage, and bitachon in bashert to solve all the doubts we have after marriage. So if
I just one thing, I don't mean to be rude. I just wanted to ask, what is called our hishtadlus? That's very important. What does it mean? That every week, every other, or should we reach out? Tomorrow is Tu B'Av. We can send in our names to our mukkah. We can say the Tehillim Adaf Zogan. What means hishtadlus? How far do we have to get?
That's a terrific question. That's a terrific question. I haven't the slightest idea what the answer to that question is. I would say, though, it's based on logic, and intelligence. I'm not discussing now skulas or mystical things. I'm not discussing tefillah, which of course is imperative. Hishtadlus means that I go about bringing Hashem into the world, the natural world. I go to a doctor or I take a medication and I recognize, Baruch Atah Hashem, you're the Moilech HaOlam, you're leading the process of the physical natural world. Hashem is running it. So I take the natural steps. In every person's situation, that's got to have a different set of parameters. For one person, they call the Shadchan appropriately once a month, a day, an hour, a week. I have no way to gauge that. But there's a place in the scale of too much and too little. So Hishtadlus has to be done prior to marriage. Bitachon has to be exercised after marriage. Again, let's say someone complains. I just want to flesh out the point. Someone complains, they'll come and say, you know what, I married the wrong person. My wife, she's so, all she's interested in is cooking and cleaning, and I wanted to marry a woman who has a career. The nonsensical suggestion that marriage is like going into a fast food restaurant and I'd rather have my hamburger with onions or with pickles is not only not Jewish, it's totally irrelevant to what's really taking place. If I recognize, as the Reishis Chachma says, that the only way I can reach Avas Hashem, the only way is if I have Ava for my wife, that means that if I wanted to marry, I'm saying this as an illustration, a career woman and she's not, that God himself decided that the only vehicle I have for achieving connection with him is learning to accept and to embrace a wife that's different from what my fantasy or my order at the restaurant would have been. So much I agree with you has gone wrong because the chinuch is lacking. The environment is brutally anti-Torah, and so many people lack the basic tools to understand how to bring the proper ishtadlus and the proper bitachon together. So I don't think you asked a question. I think you made a statement. In previous generations, it was easier. Bitachon was stronger and more natural in many ways. And it's the challenge of our age. We're in Ikvas of the Mashiach, and this is the challenge, to bring Hashem into our daily lives. Not the exotic skulas, not the promises of miracles and salvations. The Gemara says, halal is a macharif and megadif. The person's an apikoros if he says halal every day. Why? It's just psukim of praising Hashem. Because if one looks for God only in the supernatural, that search itself pushes God away from the natural. It removes, it's like being an apikoros chalila. It pushes Hashem away from recognizing that he's the one who gave us an appetite and a digestion. He made the apple red. He gave us the money to buy the apple and the confidence that we can chew it, and the dentist to help our teeth so we make sure we can. So hishtadlus and bitachon is always a balance. No one could say with any clarity what each person's balance is. We all strive for it. If someone has a Rebbe or a guide who can help them, they can use that person to try to find the balance, to fine-tune the balance. Both elements are crucial. And as you said accurately, in our generation, we are struggling with that, and the young people in particular. We can do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I think also I'll just leave off with one line. I believe that the parents have a tremendous responsibility, and it's much harder today. I'll be honest with you. I thank Hashem that I had raised my children 20 years ago, whatever the case was, because in today's generation, I do though believe, and I've seen it, when parents put certain boundaries from the beginning, not from when the kid is whatever, but we maybe, listen, I'm not even going to go into, I understand what you're saying. It's 100% right. I'm not here to, change the whole island, but it's whatever. Hashem should help us all. We should all have the bina, the understanding, and find our zavugim very easily and quickly. Amen. Thank you.
The Gemara says, Yesei v'lo yachmine. The Heiligam Rava said, I want Mashiach to come, but I don't want to be there to see it, because they knew this storm was coming.
Wow.
And it's our challenge to rise to the occasion.
Amen.
Let's go to the next question. You're on.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is for Rabbi Whitman. First of all, I really appreciate everything that you said. I enjoyed it. I found it to be very fundamental. I'm just wondering, is there any practical exercise I could do to bring everything to the practical realm? Obviously, it needs to be understood, but is there anything that I could do to bring it down to the practical?
I think that's an excellent question. I wish this was a more extensive forum where I could try to do that. But let me try to speak to it, if only in a minute way. I can think of several practical tips or ideas that I heard from Rabbi Chil Yaakov, who's a master of this craft, that can help us with shidduchim and in general with our emunah and bitachon on these topics. When we make mea brachos b'chol yom, we have a chiyuv to say 100 brachos. Let's try to focus on one of them. I'll pick Pakeach Ivrim. Most of us think, or most of us sense, that we naturally are born with sight and we naturally can see. But the truth is neither of those things are correct. We are not naturally born with everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is gifting us with the gift of sight. Nor is it correct, even if we recognized, if we were in a sensory sense, aware that He granted it to us, nor is it correct that He granted it to us umpteen years ago, and by dint of that gift, we still see. At every moment, all of us are essentially blind, and Hashem is opening our eyes moment by moment to what we see. So I'll choose one bracha a day and make an attempt before I say the bracha to actually experience, not just to think or to know in a detached intellectual way, but to try to feel at some level, make an effort to feel the following sensation. If I close my eyes for 30 seconds, and I imagine, God forbid, what it must be like, Rachmana litzlan, for someone who does not have that gift, and I think to myself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is about to gift me again, as He does every day and every moment. Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu. He's only our God that we recognize and aware and are connected to Him in this way. Melech ha'olam. He's the King who's constantly controlling and facilitating every element of the gifts that we're giving. Pakeach Ivrim. Thank you. You just opened my eyes. Now I can see. If I do that once a day on a daily basis, it'll transform my life. Here's another idea. I'll limit myself to two. I could go on forever. Moida ani lefanecha, or moida for the keva. Melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmasi b'chemla. I've tried this, by the way. It makes an amazing difference in a person's day. The last two words, Rabba Emunah Secha. The general translation, the simple meaning is that God is very dependable. I go to sleep with confidence that tomorrow He'll give back my neshama. But the Sifri in Devarim, and we have a Kabbalah Merabbi Seinu to go with this, to concentrate, to think about this particular interpretation. The Sifri has a different interpretation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu infuses us with confidence. I want to explain what that means. If I say, Rabbi Lapan, I'm confident that you have a computer in front of you because I see you on the computer. That's me being receptive about something that exists. I didn't give you a computer. I didn't turn on your computer. I'm aware that you must have a computer. But if I was in charge of all the computers, if I was electrifying your computer right now, if you needed me to hold the plug to your computer, so if I said I'm confident you have a computer, I don't mean I'm just aware. I mean, I'm making your computer work. I'm the guy who's making you have a computer. When Hashem says, when we say to Him, Rabba Emunah Secha, He's called Kel Emunah, it means He chooses to endow us to say, Rabbi Lapan, I know you can do it. I, Hashem, know you can do it. How does He know? Not just because He's aware of everything. He decided that if you have a challenge, He decided that you can rise to that challenge. You can fix it. He's in charge. He's the Melech. He's in charge. And if He tells you that He just woke you up this morning because you could go out there and you can do the job, that's an incredible boost to the way you feel about yourself, to your identity. And in marriage and shidduchim, that's really a game changer.
Rabbi Farnes, if it's okay, I would like to just on the overall sugya, we're a little spoiled here on the Zoom with Rabbi Whitman and Mrs. Jacobs, who really are phenomenal, fantastic, experienced they understand singles, they understand the malacha. Baruch Hashem, lately the idea of coaching, shidduch coaching, has become more common, which is good. At different ages, different stages. But there's somewhat of a danger that we need to be aware of, and that is nowadays everyone's a coach. Every shadchan can hang up a shingle and say they're a dating coach, and some are phenomenal, some are fantastic.
I'm a coach.
Exactly, but not everyone is, and there isn't any really centralized. If you're a doctor and you call yourself a doctor and you're not a doctor, you can get sued for malpractice. People don't be, you read about it in the papers. In shidduchim, it's important for the singles and their parents, if they decide to, and I think it's very important to look for someone, whether you're a new date and you want to get that driving ed for shidduchim, or you're a more experienced date, or whatever stage you're in, and you want to get that assistance, that help, that guidance. But don't just, you find the name, doesn't matter if they do charge, they don't charge, they put up an ad in the paper somewhere, they're a coach, they say they're a coach. Take it seriously. Make sure to do your due diligence. Best is to get references from people that you know and you trust, who have already engaged with that person and they felt they made a difference. Most coaches are not a good shidduch for everyone. Some people might do more yeshivish, less yeshivish, older, younger. Try to find someone that's a good fit for your situation. And similar to this, and I may get in trouble for saying this, but mechanchis and rebbeim, some of them are absolutely fantastic. Many of them are very, very good. But although you may ask a Rebbe if it's appropriate for my son to get his license, that's maybe a Das Torah question. Is it Bittul Torah? Is it not Bittul Torah? But how to make a K-turn in parallel park is not really a question for a Rebbe. Might there be a Rebbe who's very good at teaching you how to drive? He might. But it doesn't come necessarily with the territory. Similar with giving eitzes. Some Rebbeim, some Mechanchos are wonderful ba'alei eitzah, but not everyone is. And because of the natural relationship between students and their teachers and boys and their rebbeim, they often go to them and they discuss things with them, but they need to be aware, and the parents and the rebbeim and the mechanchas all mean well, but they may very well be out of their league, and they may be trying their best, but they may not be the best suited to guide your son, your daughter through the shidduch process. And therefore parents and the singles themselves should really be aware and make sure that the coaches, the people that are getting guidance for are helpful in the situation. And if you're not sure, look around, do some research. On our website, we put up a list of recommended coaches. That doesn't mean they're the only people that are recommended.
What's your website? What's your website for everybody?
Nasi Shidduch, NASISHIDDUCH.com. We have the audios there. We also have a booklet, Navigating Shidduchim Effectively, Efficiently, and Gracefully, which is a broader picture. It talks about resumes. It talks about interacting with Shadchanim effectively. It talks about doing research and a number of different things. But on the website as well, we have the recommended coaches that I can personally know from extensive interaction with them that they're very, very good. Doesn't mean if they're not on the list, they're not very good. It just means I don't know firsthand. I take my recommendations very seriously. And there are a lot of very good ones out there. Just make sure you're dealing and working with someone who is very good, because there are too many stories of shidduchim that went sideways because of the involvement of guidance that was less than helpful, to say it nicely.
Yeah, very important information. Okay, let's go to the next live question. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I have a question like this. Every single has their own journey in terms of, what they need help with. In terms of, let's say a lot of them have commitment problems, or not problems, just, fears, which is normal, or communication, that they need guidance with. But I find that, for me, myself, personally, I find that, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, I have problems, let's say, getting just an appropriate date. And I'll say my age, I'm 29, I'm a regular, I'm irregular and, quote in quotes, but a regular from Beisako girl. And I'm curious, I would think that a lot of singles struggle with this. And whenever there's these types of forums, I'm not degrading it at all. It's very, very helpful. but a lot of times there's no discussion about this. Like if there are appropriate matches around, which I obviously nobody really knows for sure, but do you find that there's an issue with this where singles aren't getting appropriate dates? And if they aren't matched up correctly, maybe, or maybe there's it's being, maybe too broad, like people are just suggesting random, suggestions without getting to know the single. I'm just curious to hear about this because I don't hear it like so much addressed. It's usually like pushed under sometimes. So I'm just curious to hear about that.
Jacobs, can you go?
Sure. So excellent question. Thank you for asking. It's very important as you get older to be the one to be proactive in your shidduchim, because it's important for you to go down there, meet a shadchan, develop a relationship with them so that they really get to know you. And then in most cases, you'll get shidduchim that are more spot on to what you're looking for. When a shadchan meets a girl or a guy for 20 minutes, a half hour, they develop a relationship with you, and they read you a shidduch. Afterwards, that shidduch doesn't work. They've had a running communication with you throughout that shidduch. They get to learn better and better what works well for you. And when you present yourself to the shadchan, as opposed to, somebody just getting a resume, handing it to you, or whatever it is, or, even your mother, your aunt, etc., we're already developing a certain distance that doesn't allow for a good fit. So it's very important as we get older and are more mature to go after the shidduchim yourself. Of course, your parents should help you with the references, with support in terms of emotional support, etc. But doing that, and then while you're dating, if you feel you want somebody to be coaching you so that you can talk it through with somebody who isn't necessarily the shadchan, but has really your best interests in mind, and not that the shadchan doesn't, of course, but she has to be able to be there for both of you. And even the coach sometimes will involve the person that you're dating so that they can get a broader picture of what's going on to be able to help you. I think that your chances are going to be much better at getting a good fit in terms of suggestions.
Daniel, you want to say anything on this?
I'm happy to. First of all, I just want to repeat what I said at the beginning. Now that I'm speaking to a specific person, I am in admiration for your rising to the challenge of coping with the nisayon and growing from the nisayon. I fear that I am unworthy of addressing the difficulty you're having because I'm not in that particular difficulty, although I've got plenty of my own. And I think your point is very, very well taken. A lot of times people, let's say in my situation, I just mean people who are not younger singles who feel that they're struggling with shidduchim, we're feeling so much that we'd like to alter your situation that one is often tempted to push a name, to make a suggestion without perhaps getting to know you properly or knowing the other person. And then as you mentioned, sometimes it backfires. Well-meaning people are making suggestions that don't seem relevant, and that causes additional frustration. Sometimes I wonder myself, I have children in shidduchim myself, sometimes waiting what seems to be forever between dates for a girl, is that better? Or going out with people and coming home with the frustration that you went through all of that, you put in all that effort, and it's so off target. I don't have an answer to this question. I just think that it's important for those of us on the other side of this, meaning that we're not able to pull the weight and feel what you feel, to acknowledge, A, that a lot of what we try to do is sometimes flawed or misguided, although well-intentioned, and B, it's a dilemma. there are young ladies in your situation who are dating a lot. That's rare, but there is such a thing, and complaining that it's so difficult. They don't want to get all dressed up and go through all this. On the other hand, there are young ladies in an identical situation who do not have a date, who are waiting literally years for their first date. I don't know which is better, if there is one that's better. I go back to identity and say, easy for me to say, though it may be in this situation, and it's not so easy, but easier. The Rebbeinu Shalom has a bashar for you, and he has a plan for you, and you're growing because you're accepting what he's giving you, and you're working your way through it. And it's going to make you, Amir Hashem, a better wife and a better mother. And hopefully that day will come soon for you and for all of us.
Okay, let's go to the last live question. Hi, sorry, you're the last one.
I might lose you. I'm having a terrible time with Zoom, so if I fade out, you might answer some of this, but I get the feeling that I've enjoyed listening to you, not just younger people, but people, the proverbial FFB crowd. But I'm thinking that there are many of us, even FFBs, maybe grew up that we were not groomed for marriage. We did not really, we used to, like you said, the Hollywood version or something. But I've grown to see how a traditional marriage is a lot of work. And I think learning how to date is just, it's like putting the cart before the horse. That you have to have an understanding, those of us who either grew up without the role models or the family support system which I see as needed. So I just wondered, do you ever address that issue? I mean, I've seen people, or if they manage to get married, they don't stay married because they just don't know what marriage is really even about.
Somebody who's not a FFB, somebody's not from birth, that's about Shuva.
Or a convert. I have a friend who's a convert saying
they don't have the same values in the marriage. They don't.
Yeah, or nothing to present themselves. The cynicism you can cut with a knife. Just don't say that much.
Am I being addressed here?
I think all of you, as far as whoever wants to answer, please.
I'm happy to answer as well, Rabbi Whitman.
Mrs. Jacobs, after you.
Okay. We're going to be chivalrous here and let ladies first. Okay. I'm
from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. So I actually deal with a number of Balei Tshuva, new Balei Tshuva, and I find that, of course, the guidance I give them is, from like really Aleph Beis and on, and they so appreciate it and drink it up. And it's taught me a lot because of things that I normally would take for granted in dating that happen in the regular FFB world, as you said. Thank you so much, Chaya Sarah, for opening our eyes to that also. I must tell you, though, that the ones I find most successful, I'm about to be involved in a shidduch that's happening in a week or two, Amir Tashem, that is 2 Balei Tshuva, one of them very, very new. And the best Eitzah is that they, from the start, from when they are becoming frum, even before they're actually frum, that they get themselves role models that just absolutely embrace them as family. And these role models, people who are already married with families, etc., that treat them as family, become their total support system and their models, their role models for a lot of the stuff that you say they missed out on growing up in a secular family. And it works wonders for them. And these people literally are involved with them as parents or brother, sister kind of situations. And they are successful. It's beautiful. And I feel that the ones that, get themselves very close to a family or two, or even a community in my neighborhood, there are a number of women who've adopted a new Balas Tshuva that there's nothing they won't do for her, and they have her on rotation every Shabbos, and she's dating and doing beautifully. She's dating an FFB guy right now, currently, and without the support of my wonderful neighbors, and of course they got me involved, this girl couldn't do it. So you raised a beautiful question. It's an issue that people, need to hear and need to be aware of. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just want to say it's not just probably Chuba and converts probably have suffer the most from it, but there are people simply that grew up in dysfunctional homes as well. They're neglected in a certain way where they just did not know how to relate to people or be a spouse.
100%, and they need that. They need that parent, healthy family parent figure as well that they have to cling on to for support. And I've dealt with many of those as well, coming from totally dysfunctional families. How could they possibly date? It literally, as we say, takes a village to help them get to the chuppah, but they do it, and it's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the closing segment of the program now. There's a lot to say. I know it's summer now, and Baruch Hashem had a nice crowd for Tubav, and I'm gonna just wrap it up over here. Give me a minute. So again, thank you, Rabbi Daniel, for coming on, Rabbi Moshe Pago, and Mrs. Chana Rivka Jacobs for giving a tremendous chizuk, really talking about it. There's so much more to talk about. We really just touched a few very basic topics. Hopefully we could do another share, hopefully down the road, and really get into it. Again, tonight's share is 199. If anyone wants to join, the WhatsApp status is WhatsApp 732-314-1710, and we'll send you the link for the Coach Menachem community chat, so you can go to menachembernfeld.com as well to sign up for the emails. It's very important to sign up for the emails because, like, all the people that are on tonight, their email addresses, their contact information. Every time we have a share, Menachem puts together an email with all the information, so it's important to keep that in mind. Again, Menachem next week, August 25th. Gonna have an amazing share. Not confirmed yet, but hopefully it'll be something powerful. Share 200. So please join every week. It's always something special. But if there's any general questions, please email coachmenachem@gmail.com. If there's any questions for any of the speakers, we'll forward it to them. Hopefully they'll be able to answer it. Everything is recorded. It'll be on menachembernfeld.com. And if you want to listen to tonight's share on the phone, tonight's share is 199. You can call the phone line at 732-305-9011. And I want to thank all the advertising sponsors, Lakewood Scoop, Eliana 5 Town Central, and Chayla Kaufman from JCN. We're going to go to the closing part. First I'll go, then Menachem, and then we'll give to Reb Moshe, and then we'll give to Mrs. Jacobs, and then Reb Daniel. We'll wrap it up. So in short, I just want to say dating and shidduchim, it's a very big parsha, and I don't think there's one magic answer. We all just need chizuk in it. And I think the one thing that everybody could do here tonight is when we see a shidduch, we could try to read it, we could try to push things, and try to be, everybody can be more involved, not just Shadchanim. I think that makes a big difference. I think when we see boys, we see girls, and something that especially that has potential, we should definitely try to be our own Shadchanim, not for the money. I'm sure there's millions of dollars in it, right, Mr. Jacob? I heard there's millions of dollars in it. Millions. But besides the money, it's definitely a big chesed, and it's a tremendous thing. So if we all put a little energy into it, I know personally myself, I don't like to do it because it just feels like it's such an overwhelming thing. But if we could try a little bit, I think it could really help solve, besides the ratio problem, it could solve all the other problems, hopefully. And we could really help people in Klal Yisrael. And people should reach out to people, Baruch Hashem, today. There's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of people, and everybody, I don't think it matters the difference of age or where you're holding or where you're coming from. Everybody, there's organizations for everybody, and people should reach out to coaches, rabbeim, chaverim, people that they know, and get chizuk, and get clarity. And hopefully Menachem, next Tu B'Av, should be hundreds of thousands of the singles married, and Nasi should go out of business, Menachem, amen. And that's my bracha to everybody. And now we're going to turn over to Coach Menachem.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone, and thank you again, Reb Moshe, Daniel, and Mrs. Jacobs. Like we heard, it is a big topic, and we covered, again, everybody what they can use, whether it's Ishtadlus, Tefillah, how much we rely on Hashem, how much Ishtadlus, and it's not always easy to know the answer. What should I do? What continue? And to when sometimes it gets hard to find that encouragement that you need. There's a lot of I don't know if Moshe you're going to mention. There's recordings and there's step-by-step guidance for those who just need a little bit more education. Some people go into this parsha, blind and not knowing what to do, and they have a lot of resources, and that's very kedai. And we heard a lot of identity, which we have to talk about. There's a lot, everybody to feel good with who they are, not needing to get married to feel good, so that they can, get into a relationship in a healthy way. But question is how long that takes, and we have to change the system for that. But what the steps are, Mitzvah Hashem, something we can work on, the education that we mentioned, and the last thing is to find the resources, whether it's a coach or somebody you can connect to, to bounce off your ideas. And the last, most important, is tefillah. Like we said, Tu B'Av, and I'm sure we all do tefillah. We could do a little bit more, and some are burnt out already. But the idea is that connection, to understand that we are exactly where we need to be, and the shidduch is also part of that big picture. What does Hashem want from me? Who is my Bashert? How do I know? And all of these big questions. So I want to give a bracha to everyone in this chus, and today with Tu B'Shvat, Hashem should help to guide us, open our eyes, make it a little bit easier to get to that place, not only to the shidduch, to get married, and to build the Mitzvah Hashem with our chava, with our chava sadas, and we should be able to serve Hashem in the right way, Mitzvah Hashem. Shkoyach.
Menachem, beautiful. Moshe Pogrow, Nasi, will give us with some divrei chizuk. What could you leave the crowd?
So first of all, I have to say that I am nowhere in the stratosphere of people like Reb Daniel and Mrs. Jacobs. In terms of their empathy and the sensitivity that it comes out in the way they speak. They deal there. I'm not a shadchan. I'm not a coach. I really don't deal directly with the singles. I know Shadchanim. I know coaches. But the sensitivity they have to the singles and to the families and to the tsar is something that I need to learn from, and we all can learn from. I didn't know who the audience was going to be on this in this forum. I just I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm not a regular here. My family is. Some members of my family are big fans of the show. But clearly there seemed to be a large number of we'll call mature singles that have been in shidduchim for a while. It has not gone so easy. It's not going easy for them, and they're hurting and they're in pain, and we're all looking for the Yeshua for them. So this is not really something I really wanted to share, but if it brings some chizuk, I'm happy to share at least beremiza without giving too many details. For close to 2 years, we've been working on developing a platform that hopefully will be available to the public within a couple of months. It's based on a platform in Eretz Yisrael that has been very successful, and it promises to be a process to present a shidduch process for the singles that is very dignified, very bakavadik, very private, and really addresses what I call the silent phone syndrome, where singles can sit for months, days, even years without an appropriate suggestion coming their way. A platform that will enable the singles to be in a shidduch parsha where they can make their own decisions without fear of being judged by Shadchanim or anybody else. How could he say no to that idea, and how could he end that shidduch? It's been quite an expensive undertaking. It's quite a lot of work, and we're very close to bring it to the tzibur. I would say maybe by Chanukah Menachem will be available to the public at large. We hope to be internal testing in the very near future. And I hope, we certainly invested ourselves fully, in this particular platform, because we think it could bring significant relief and chizuk and opportunities to the singles, specifically the singles who the regular shidduch process has not been going so smoothly. So, when it's ready, that Tzibur will know about it. I just wanted to share this with the Olam to know that you're not forgotten. The Olam at large, although we may not have all the answers, they certainly are aware of the struggle, of the journey, of the difficulties, and there are people that really care and are really trying and are really dedicated to leave no stone unturned until every single looking to get married has the best opportunities to be able to get to the chuppah in a pleasant fashion, Bakarav, hopefully.
Amazing.
I just want to read this out to everybody clearly, so people are asking. Menachem will email it out. If anybody wants to get in touch with Mrs. Jacobs, her email address is Chana Rivka, CHANARIVK Jacobs JACOBS @gmail.com. That's ChanaRivka.jacobs@gmail.com. And if anybody wants to get a hold of Rabbi Daniel Whitman, his email address is DNL. That's David Nancy Larry Whitman WHITMAN @gmail.com, and hopefully you can get in touch with them if you need their help or chizuk or anything. Mr. Jacobs, we're going to turn it to you now. For all the hundreds of people that are here tonight, and all the Menachem, the thousands and thousands of people that are going to listen to the share, what divrei chizuk and guidance could you give them on Tu B'Av?
Okay, so firstly, thank you so much for the privilege of coming on to this program. I did not know of it before, and I'm super amazed. Thank you. Such a beautiful thing that you're doing for Klal Yisrael. To the singles, I know that most of us feel this way, at least those of us who deal with you, that you're amazing. The soldiers that, the silent soldiers that are teaching our kids, sitting in yeshiva and learning, even though each one of your roommates got married. We are so impressed with you. We can't imagine getting up every morning, doing what you do with such cheshek and really hislavus and going at it and being hopeful that with each one that this could be it. And Mirz Hashem, whatever I can do to help, I would love to be able to. And please understand that we think the world of all of you, from those of you who are 20 and just starting to those of you who are in your 50s and keep going at it. And we're so impressed. And Mirz Hashem, all this ishtadlus Mirz Hashem should pay off and be rewarded as only the Rabbi Shalom can.
Amen, amen. Daniel, wrap it up.
Thank you, Rabbi. I didn't have a chance when the lady had asked earlier. I just want to respond to her point as I close. She had mentioned converts and Baalei Tshuva. I didn't even pick up every word. I've had the privilege of dealing with some Gerim and Gioris and Baalei Tshuva. I want to tell you that Ramat Yos Zatzal said to me once, a dvar halacha. It used to be, he said, that when giving information for a shidduch or talking about a family, it used to be, he said this 20 years ago, it used to be that it's lashon hara to say about someone that they're about tshuva. The word about tshuva, we don't mean like Rabbeinu Yaina, someone who does tshuva for Averis. I mean in the colloquial sense, someone who was born not from and is now from. Ramat Yos said it used to be usher to say this. He said, however, the halacha bisman hazeh is that it's not usher to refer to someone as about tshuva, because he said, frankly, the from birth are in many ways not on as high a level as a Baalei Tshuva. He said, I will illustrate with myself. He said, when I make a bracha, sometimes I am not even sure if I said the words. But someone who chose to become from, and it's a culture came to someone who chose to become Jewish, they don't thank Hashem unless they're thinking about it because they consciously decided to do it. So because they are on a higher level than I am, he said, to refer to someone in that way is not derogatory, it's actually a compliment. So I wasn't sure what the lady had asked specific to those groups, but I want to validate what she said and extend it far beyond. Sadly, in the challenge of our dar, to say that the Baalei Tshuva or the converts or certain people, to add another group, are raised in dysfunctional homes, Rachmana litzlan, and are challenged with relationships, dating, and marriage, I think is to understate it by an extremely wide margin. We are living in an epidemic, Rahman al of mental health. If there are people that are growing up in functional homes, sadly, that is all too rare. And all of us, and that's 110% of us, need help with our emotions. We all need help. We all need to strengthen ourselves, and we're all challenged in this area. So, although on the one hand, you might say, sure, in some idyllic setting, people who came from some magical family may have an easier time with all this. I think the name of this program is Let's Get Real. Let's get real. The people who come from more dysfunctional backgrounds or from further away from the Torah environment that we choose to live in or that we're zeicha to live in a way have it easier. Because since they know that they have to learn it from the get-go, they often can bring a cleaner slate to the project. And if they try, they can learn the tools. It's true. It's like raising babies, as a great Gadol once said, in incubators. It may not be natural, but that ship has sailed for almost all of us. So the fact that they're aware that they're challenged may actually give them an edge when it comes to learning these skills and developing that self-awareness and that positivity that can help them. I also want to add in closing one particular detail that plays such a significant role related to this topic. All of us, I'm going to say, if not 100%, but almost, are suffering in our generation from a lack of unconditional love in our childhood, not to discredit Chalila, our parents. The door that we live in Yavan Sheba Edom, is confrontational and destroys our sense of self-worth. So all of us, at some level, are hungering for unconditional love. Parental love is designed by Hashem to be unconditional, as He loves us unconditionally. Marital love is designed by Hashem to be conditional. So oftentimes people are looking for a spouse, unbeknownst to them, in their subconscious, to provide them with the unconditional love that they crave so deeply. However, a spouse cannot and should not provide that. And oftentimes people are dissatisfied in their marriages because they'll say, well, my husband just doesn't love me enough, or my wife can't give me enough love. It's possible, it's theoretically possible, but it's unlikely that's what's going on. In our generation, what's really going on almost all the time is that the person is unaware of the deep-seated cravings and wounds that they carry, and therefore they try to feed themselves in a spousal relationship that can't possibly feed it. It's like offering someone hungry a bed to sleep in. It just doesn't work. So we need more clarity with our emotions. We need to grow in our avodas Hashem. And of course, we need to daven on Tu B'Av, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the gift, the Mesei Midbar stopped dying, and the Haruge Beitar were brought L'Kvura, and the bodies did not decay. My Rebbe explained these are symptomatic, these are emblematic of Hashem's goal. He's going to take away the pain of being single. He's going to take away the pain of loneliness. He's going to take away the gullus. He's going to take away the Gzeres Misa. And all of us are working together. That's why we're sitting here together tonight, to be part of the process, the gullus that leads to Geula. May we be zeicha to see it on an individual level, on a collective national level, very, very soon.
Amen.
And Shkoya, thank you all for coming on tonight, and hopefully you gave a lot of chizuk to Klal Yisrael, and everybody should have a wonderful night. Enjoy your Bein Hazmanim, your summer plans, and we'll see you all next Sunday night. Same time, same place. Take care.
Thank you so much.